Morning children. Today we are going to cover topic water under the heading water cycle, rainwater harvesting. We are also going to cover floods, what are the effects of floods and drought. Now coming to water cycle, as you all know that water cycle is the journey of water from the oceans to atmosphere and back to the ocean again. It is called water cycle. Any natural phenomena which repeats itself after some time uh, is said to constitute a natural cycle. So water cycle also has the same meaning. There are 5 steps involved in water cycle. What are that? First, it's evaporation, condensation, precipitation and seepage of the water, and again evaporation, condensation, precipitation and seepage of the water, that is collection of water. You all know that heat of the sun makes water evaporate from the oceans, rivers, the lakes, etc. The plants also add water vapor into atmosphere by transpiration. The warm and light water vapor rise up in the air. They are carried towards the mountain by the wind and further rise up. On higher altitude, condensation takes place and water vapors change into clouds. The precipitation takes place further or cooling of the clouds, which causes the rain. The rain comes back down to the earth due to the force of gravity of the earth. The rainwater partly flows over the surface of the earth in the form of streams and rivers and partly sinks in the ground. This flowing water ultimately reaches the ocean. Now here children, the water cycle is basically powered by the heat of the sun and the force of gravity. The heat of the sun melts ice and evaporate water. The gravity makes the rain or snow fall to the ground. It then makes the rivers and streams to flow from the mountains to the ocean. A part of the rainwater either seeps into the ground or fills up the lakes and ponds. The water which seeps into the ground ultimately reaches the sedimentary rock. It further seepage stops and hence it collects inside the earth and is commonly called the ground water. So I hope the water cycle is clear to you now. Now let us see what is this rainwater harvesting. Rainwater harvesting is actually the process by which the rainwater is being used. Now the question arises that why this rainwater harvesting is important. Rainwater harvesting is important because the surface water is inadequate to meet our demands and we have to depend on groundwater. Now, due to rapid urbanization, infiltration of rainwater into the subsoil has decreased drastically and recharging of groundwater has diminished. So, it is very important that we should collect this rainwater and we store it and can use it later on. So objectives of rainwater include for the increasing demand, recharging the groundwater, reducing the groundwater and increase in hydrostatic pressure. Now this rainwater harvesting is very important for future and it will be useful for urban areas. It is also important to save the water for the future. So it is very important that we have this process of rainwater harvesting. Now let us see what are the techniques of rainwater harvesting. There are basically 2 ways of rainwater harvesting. One is surface of harvesting and second is rooftop rainwater harvesting. Coming to rooftop rainwater harvesting, here as you can see in the picture, the roof becomes the catchment and the rainwater is collected from the roof of the house building. It can either be stored in a tank or can be diverted to artificial recharge system. This method is very less expensive, very effective, and it is if implemented properly, it helps in augmenting the ground level of the area. So basically it has the following stages: collection, filtration, storage, usage and recharge. Coming to the next type, that is surface run of harvesting. Harvesting of surface runoff and storage of the same into reservoirs such as water pans makes it available for use when required. Now, in this method of collecting rainwater for irrigation, water which is basically flowing around the ground during the rains is collected in a tank below the surface of the ground. Coming to the next topic, floods. First of all, what are floods? Flood is basically an overflow of an expanse of water. Floods occur when a river gets more water than its channel can hold. So what happens? Water flows over the banks and onto the plain. Flooding may result from the volume of water within a body of water such as a river. Now, coming to the causes of floods, basically floods are caused by heavy rain, but sometimes by ice or snow melting also. A burst of heavy rain can cause a sudden flash flood, so people get no warning, so they may get trapped and drown. Now, coming to the impacts of floods, most important impact of flood is it cause human loss, then loss of property, affect the roads, then disruption of air, train, bus services. It also cause the spread of waterborne communicable disease. Communication breakdown takes place. Then electricity supply is cut off, and economic and social disruption also take place. Social effect, if we consider of flood, then they include damage and destruction of building, loss of life, and health-related illness and damage to local infrastructures and bridges. Now, coming to the next condition, drought. So, what is a drought? A drought is a condition when water is scarce or depleted, and it is caused when there has been no rainfall for years or too much of water is being used up. We can also define drought as an extended period of deficient rainfall relative to the average for a region. It is a period of time when there is a lack of water on land. Plants and crops do not grow properly, and plants and animals they die, and streams of rivers shrivel off. Because farm crops and animals die due to lack of water, there is less food for people to eat, and the price of food goes up. Now let us see what are the effects of flood. What are the effects of drought? It causes plants and animals to wither away. Then crops cannot be grown, and already sown crops fail to grow. Level of groundwater falls, leading to acute water crisis. Erosion of soil by wind takes place. Energy production is reduced. Then famine condition develop. Starvation, death of both human and animals take place. There is widespread unemployment, and because of all these, prices of all commodities go up. So now I hope what is drought and what are the effects of drought is clear to you. Now children, I thank you for watching this PPT. Thank you children.